Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, we've got Alpha Radagast playing the Tier 8 Premium Hybrid Cruiser Tone. He is divisioned with Flagstaff 2016 in the North Carolina, and Hertzsprung in the U-190. The Tone is, well, it's an interesting ship. Let me give you the rundown on this thing, in case you don't know. I'm pulling all of this right off of the World of Warships wiki. The guns are 203s. There are 8 barrels, each with 2 barrels on each of 4 turrets. The reload time base is 16 seconds with a 180-degree turn time of the turrets at 30 seconds. So I would say that's pretty typical of the Imperial Japanese Navy cruiser line. The turrets do not rotate very quickly. The base firing range 15.67 kilometers with a maximum dispersion at that range of 132 meters. So not too bad. They're fairly accurate guns. Maximum HE shell damage is 3,300 with a base fire chance of 17% per shell. The initial HE shell velocity, 840. These have a pretty good arc. Like a lot of the IJN cruisers, fairly accurate. And they are good fire starters overall. The AP shells do a maximum damage of 4,700 with the same 840 meters per second shell velocity. Secondaries, well, not a whole lot to speak of there, and a base 6.6 kilometer range, so that's very rarely going to come into play. If you're that close, you've probably made a terrible blunder. Torpedoes, well, you've got 4 racks with 3 torpedoes each, base reload of 76 seconds. And the maximum damage on these torpedoes is 17,233 with a 62 knot speed and 10 kilometers of range. These can be an effective weapon, but in general, as same with the secondaries, if you're that close, you're probably in trouble. And the torpedoes on most of the Japanese cruisers in this game are more of a kiting tool. And if you're unfamiliar with that term, if you can just imagine somebody flying a kite, they're holding onto a string. The kite is flying in the air with the tension on the string. And if you can imagine the kite as being you, and then there's somebody behind you, which would be the person holding onto the string. So they are trying to fire at you as you are moving away. Now, there are advantages to that. If you are moving away from someone, their shells take longer to reach you, and if you're at their max range, sometimes the shells won't reach you at all because you are continuing to move farther and farther away. Now you can see that the arcs on these torpedoes are primarily to the rear of the ship, and that is because they are, as mentioned, a kiting type of weapon system. I will just read for you here, because this is a premium. I want to make sure I give you all the information I can. A little bit of information from the World of Warships wiki, as our hero is having a bit of a slow start. We'll give you a little bit more information. Tone is a unique class of ship, being the lead ship for the Tone class. This hybrid cruiser carries main battery guns as well as armed float planes, much like ICOP. The main difference is that ICOP is built upon a battlecruiser hull, where Tone was purpose-built for this role. As such, the best comparison to her is that of the Tier 8 contemporary Atago. Both are designed with 27mm bow and stern armor with 25mm plating running along the length of the ship. The main difference between Tone and her sisters is that her citadel sits much lower, making it harder to hit. Next, her citadel isn't the traditional flat citadel found on her counterparts, but the turtleback scheme that helps redirect shells with a shallow angle of incidence, closer range, away from her citadel. Lastly, Tone comes with 4 charges of the repair party consumable by default, which offsets the fact that at 38,900 hit points, she has the fewest HP of the IJN cruisers at Tier 8. So that's a little bit more information. As you can see, Alpha has got some fires going. That's fire number 3. And Brandenburg is continuing to take damage. I'll read a little bit more from the World of Warships wiki. On paper, having 8 of the 203mm guns that the IJN cruisers are known for isn't anything to blink at. And Alf does drag down the Brandenburg with fire. Nicely done. Aside from being down a turret compared to her other Tier 8 IJN cruisers, the main difference is that all of her guns are mounted forward. Despite this, Tone has strong firing angles that allow her to bring most of her guns to bear on a target without showing too much broadside, which helps maintain her limited health pool. Highly accurate and hard-hitting, these guns are able to readily deal with destroyers and cruisers that find themselves exposing their sides. Combine this with a high fire chance and a decent reload, and she can even be a serious threat to the larger battleships. Captains should avoid conflicts in which targets are bow on, as this will limit the amount of firepower that she can bring to bear on the target. Notable is the fact that all but her forwardmost turret are fully traversable, though this does come at the cost of having the slowest turret traverse speed of her IJN counterparts. And Alf is doing a great job of avoiding these torpedoes and using his own torpedoes. But he does eat one. This is a fairly good sized ship, doing the best he can to maneuver. All right, so what does World of Warships consider the pros and cons of this ship? Well, pros: 4 charges of repair party by default, player controlled seaplanes with torpedoes, which I'm sure you're going to see at some point here, and can provide invaluable spotting. And the reason for that, of course, is a very low detection range. You can see it's 10.1 kilometers. You can see that on your mini-map there. And Alpha's just keeping that Atago at range, using his depth charges, got his AA working. 25,000 damage, 7 minutes and 15 seconds into the game is, well, let's just say it's not going to be setting any records, but he's been keeping busy, right? He shot 3 aircraft down, 22 shots on target, 3 fires. He did manage to finish off the battleship, and he is continually spotted. Now, it's a really good thing that the Atago's decided to pick a different target. I think he's probably Atago probably picking on Grom. You can see Flagstaff, known amongst those of us in ICOP as Rocket, and Hertzsprung pushing kind of into the middle with Bolognese and Grom, and we'll see how successful that is. As it stands right now, the good guys are down 2 ships. They've lost the Grachpe and Avier, and the bad guys have only lost the Brandenburg. So this game is still anybody's. 440 points per team. That's going to go into the rocks, unfortunately. But Ramat didn't make all that great a shot either. So no harm, no foul. Now he's still spotted. So wisely, Alf turns in and avoids torpedoes. Many of us might have been tempted to go outside in an effort to chase down Ramat, but Alf made the smart play there, turned in. He's conserving his HP. He's trying to hold this flank. This is the weak side. I'm going to pause this here for just a second and explain what I mean by that. One of the things that I believe Alf is doing here is he is trying to slow a potential push from this side. You can see the Fuso here. The Fuso's behind an island right now. So we've got Maz, Salmond, and Ramat all on this side. And as it stands right now, the only thing standing in their way is Alf. So if Alf had pushed in, he might have been facing the potential of more torpedoes and gunfire from the Maz, who could smoke up Ramat, and torpedoes from the Salmon. As he's falling back, he's ensuring his likely survival to the mid-game, which we are getting close to. Fuso is probably a minute away from being able to get guns on something. So for right now, Alpha is just preventing these 3 ships from pushing up around this corner. And that is a very important thing to do. And I think it's often overlooked. It's the split that's there. So it's Split and Moss. So there were actually 4 ships there. Even more reason for our hero to play it safe as he tries to get the torpedoes away. I think he missed an opportunity with the guns there, trying to get those torpedoes out. But we'll see how that works out. He hydros up.
Torpedoes to port. Awaiting instructions.
And if Ramat sits right there, he's probably going to be in big trouble. Now, the Split is going to be able to keep Alf spotted. So rather than continue north and running around the island the same way the Fuso did, Alpha's turned in. This might hurt. Yeah, a little bit of damage there. But Alpha's able to go dark. So Split must have turned around, gone back behind the island, and Alpha's still working the center, trying to find that sub. So let's keep track of the things that Alpha's keeping track of right now, right? He knows there's a sub over there in front of the Fuso. He's trying to help with that. He's got Ramat out here where the smoke is, putting shells on him. Maz was out here somewhere, and Split was out here somewhere. And he's trying to position himself to be able to take this cap should he win this fight. That's a lot to keep track of. And here are the aircraft. That's quite a few torpedoes in that drop. Does land 1, gets a flood. 2. Nicely done. Good use of the aircraft, I think. Might help push the Ramat out of the cap circle. We shall see, but it is possible. Hertzsprung, as you can see, has pushed into the middle quite a ways. He's down Flagstaff 2016. Right behind him, Grom and Bolognese in the Bravo cap. And the good guys have the Bravo and Charlie caps, a roughly 100-point lead. And Alf has not forgotten that sub. He will continue to drop depth charges. Moss goes down, so he actually had repositioned. There is a radar from the Ramat just as our hero comes around the corner, and Split pops out from the smoke. 80 seconds until the hydro's back up, so we're not going to have any really early advance warning of torpedoes. We can imagine they're probably going to be coming. It would be nice to be able to take shots on the Lexi, but with the Split right there, you want to take the shots on the DD. Our hero looks like he's positioning to get his torpedoes out, which is risky. He's showing all of the side of his ship. Yeah, that's risky. And now finishes off the Split, taking some damage from Ramat. Gets the guns around because he's not probably going to get the chance to get the torpedoes away. I can't believe Ramat is just sitting there, but he was, and he paid the price for that. He just got blapped by Alf. Nicely done. And so there you go. That's 3 kills for Alf. He has not only successfully defended the cap, but he's in position now to be able to secure the cap. And the good guys, well, they look like they've got the game pretty well in hand, right? They've got 9 ships. Bad guys are down to 6. And Alf now has the loving attention of the Lexington. I think I'd probably come to starboard and try to get guns on the Lexi. Now these are 203s, pretty heavy guns. I might switch to AP here, because Lexi is still showing some side. 47 seconds away from being able to heal. So there was an opportunity there, I believe, to get a nice AP shot, but still 6,000 damage with the HE is very respectable. And Lexi does seem to be turning out, so the HE from here on out is probably the best bet. Going to reinforce that sector. No sector reinforcement. Not that he would have been able to shoot down anything really anyway, but unfortunately I think Alpha is going to drift out of the cap here. And this is going to be over here really quickly. Alpha, well played. ICOP, well played. This was a fun one to watch. You did a great job over here, Alf, pretty much by yourself. Fuzo, well, he was back there, but what did he do to help you? He did manage to sink a ship, so I guess I shouldn't be too critical. Those of you joining me, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.